All right, y'all. Welcome back. This is going to be episode 29 of the Everything is Everything podcast. Type in EIE Podcast on YouTube if y'all out there trying to search for it. I'm your boy, Stephon.
It's your boy, Jiggy.
And we're back again. Yo, thank y'all, everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, the people who have been sharing the posts, the people who have been interacting with us on Instagram. Still working on TikTok. I know I say it every day, but, you know, that's what they call that, manifesting.
Yeah, right? Manifesting that type of stuff.
Speaking it into existence. It would help if I post more. I got a little bit defeated. I ain't gonna lie. I got some backlog videos I got to upload there.
It's a little tricky on TikTok,
It's a
though.
little bit tricky. I ain't dancing. I ain't moving. I ain't grooving. So, you know, thank y'all for tuning in with us. Like, this is a pleasure to be in front of you guys, for all you guys who have tuned in, like, and helped us feel encouraged to do so. And, you know, you're here on the journey with us. We're trying to grow. We're trying to get better each and every week. And with that being said, we have another great episode in store for you guys. I'm going to let Antoine, or I should say Jiggy, introduce our first topic.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a lot of conversations going on online. And it's definitely in the black community, right? A lot of people have been talking about, you know, the difference between black people. One, you know, do black Americans have the same problems as Americans that are not from this country, or their family's not from this country, but they happen to be here, right? So specifically speaking, like, they were saying, like, black people who were either in slavery or indigenous to this land have different problems compared to, like, either, like, Jamaicans, Bahamians, or it can be people from Ghana or different African countries. And it's like, you know, there's a big disparity, and it's not talked about as much, you know, especially as, you know, black men or just black people overall. But it's been just a conversation of it, right? So, you know, I wanted to today have the conversation of, you know, how you may feel about it, you know, and I want to talk about how I feel about it. Because specifically for me, bro, I feel like in America right now, I feel like with, you know, the United Nations right now I think they passed a law where it made it for slavery being actually something that was horrible. And they voted that it shouldn't have been done, right? And with that vote, right, you've seen actually some countries that actually didn't vote for it.
If I'm
told a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, it was America, Argentina, and one other country.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm trying to remember that. You don't remember the third, right?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Wait, what did you say?
I said Argentina, America, and there was one other
Was it Israel?
Yes,
Israel.
Yes.
It was three countries that, you know, were not in favor of it. And, you know, that was really telling, right, at that time, you know. And I know a lot of black Americans specifically are looking to find ways to get reparations or just to fighting to get a voice. And I think that one of the biggest problems that stem from that type of situation is that the voice that we're trying to get, people don't realize, right? And when I say that because if you have black Jamaican in America, right, they can be in America, but they still have a seat at the United Nations table. You can have a Ghanaian American, you get what I'm saying, be in America, but they have a seat at, you know, the United Nations table. Their voice is heard through the people that they actually want to represent them. You have black Americans, right? Their voice is heard through the people that they don't necessarily really want to represent them, but they do anyway. And I feel like the biggest fight that's been happening right now, especially us over these last episodes, been talking about culture and things of that nature. And I think one of the biggest things, like, people like us need to talk about is, like, black Americans getting that seat at the table. You know, and, you know, not to go off on a rant, but, you know, a lot of people love to talk about, like, our martyrs, or, like, the people that we love and they're in our communities, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And they don't know, like, Malcolm X went out trying to find a way to get black Americans a seat at that table, a seat at the United Nations table, to hear our voices, to hear what's been heard. As soon as we get a vote to show that slavery was something that was horrible and, you know, they should be paying for what they did, it's not even talked about.
Right.
And this is something that, you know, people who die for these type of decisions to be made or it to be looked at but that way. And, you know, people are not even looking at it, you know, as it should be looked at. So, you know, I started this conversation, Steph. I definitely want to hear how you feel, the disparity between black Americans, Americans that are not from this country. Like, how do you feel about it?
Man, it's an interesting discussion and one that's been taking place. You know, you've heard, you know, like of the, was it foundationally Black American? Is it FBA?
FBA, yeah.
And then you have like ADOS, which is African Descendants of Slaves, right?
Yeah.
And you know, their plight is real. The only thing that I would give a little bit of pushback on, right, is the divisiveness of amongst Black people, right, as it pertains to nationality, right? Marcus Garvey started Pan-Africanism, and it teaches how much we are way more alike than we are different, despite coming from whether it be Cuba, Haiti, Brazil, America, Jamaica, Bahamas, the motherland herself, you know? Wherever there are Black people, we've all have been linked and shared the experience of being descendants of slavery, right? I think specifically to your point, America is such a unique case because I feel like it was the most insidious and the most systematic and the one that really persists to this day. And I know that other parts of Africa kind of have similar fights to, like with South Africa, and even some of the turmoil that you see happening with African countries come off of, you know, Europe dividing the pie and the land and, you know, creating chaos through their own greed and misuse of resources there. So it's a very complicated web, but I just feel like togetherness is always the answer. And, you know, being a Caribbean descendant myself, being a child of, once again, a mother who's Jamaican, a father who's Bahamian, being the first born here, it's like I don't have the same roots that African American has when it comes to slavery in this country and the oppression that they felt. But as a Black person who grew up in America, I'll be damned if I don't stand by my brothers and sisters and have that empathy and want to fight for their plight. You know, to your point about having that seat at the United Nations, it's like Africans Americans almost exist in this weird matrix, right? Because yeah, this land is their home for generations. They've helped build this country and haven't even been paid for it. As honestly, they've been used as fodder for the country, and through it all has found a way to persist and make life not just better for themselves, but I mean truly making life better for people worldwide, whether they recognize it or not. The fact that you're able to immigrate and come here is because of the fight that Black Americans did for hundreds of years. And, you know, when you look at the United Nations and you look at America, you probably don't see a Black person there. You probably don't see someone who's speaking from their culture, their needs, their agendas, and their wants. And you look at other Black nations, you see that. So I think, you know, like how you brought up Malcolm X, like he was truly trying to get even the civil rights thing to be a human rights thing. Mm-hmm. Instead of keeping it civil because the rest of the world can't get involved if it's civil, make it a human rights thing, and that allows all our allies to then step in and say, hey, this is wrong, because America's never going to convict itself. Mm-hmm. You know, America's going to protect its criminality, you know? Yeah. America's going to protect its wrongdoings, and you can't expect, you know, the shooter to then turn himself and say, hey, I did it, here's a smoking gun. It would never go that way.
Well, I mean, so then how do you think it would work in a situation where you have a lot of people who have a voice and it's not being heard? They're being judged but not listened to. And then they're also being they're being looked at as something that they're not, or people that they're not. Like, so for instance, you may like, I'm from the Bronx, right? Mm-hmm. And for this situation too, just to let you guys know, it's conflicting for me because half of me, you know, I have half of my family that grew that's from America and half of my family that's not. So father side and mother side is two different stories, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a conflicting thing for me, right? Just to understand this standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, just to go back to it, like it's been just very interesting just thinking about this subject and just to figure out, like, you know, what could we do to get to that table? What could the voices, like I was saying before, that have not been heard to be heard, right? Right. How do the Black people that are not from America help the African Americans get a voice to actually have those changes be made, and to have slavery be looked at as something that was horrible. Like, for instance, like how the Holocaust was. You know what I'm saying? And those things need to be talked about, right? We actually have black people in these other countries that actually have a vote, right, at the bigger table, right? And I think, you know, in this type of situations, I think there's a lot of black people that come over here in America and they're fighting. And I think that's a lot of thing that people don't realize. There's a lot of people that are fighting out here for black African Americans, but it's hard because you can't be in a fight by yourself for somebody that's not willing to fight for themselves, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're dealing with in America right now. You got a lot of people that are trying to act like, you know, they're just being the victims as black Americans, and they're not really trying to help themselves. But also, too, we do need the help of our brothers and sisters that are actually black and realize that there's a difference between them and people actually black Americans, so that they can actually help us. They can actually look at the problem and say, hey, listen, in our country, we have a voice, so that's why certain things don't happen here. Right? We fought for our independence in certain situations. How come these guys are not getting a voice? How come these guys are looked at as one way? And how come they're being profited off of money is being made off them so much? You know what I'm saying? So you guys won't even look the other way to see if something can be really done to help their communities and help these people. You know?
Man, it's such a layered question because I feel like there's a lot of ways that we can help. Let's start with like the individual, the people who maybe aren't in politics, but it's the day-to-day black person that you see, whether, you know, wherever they come, that diaspora, right?
Yeah.
Let's start undoing all the negative stereotypes that some of us who aren't from America have been fed through media, and maybe carry on without even realizing it and judging our brothers and sisters based off propaganda.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And let's start coming from a place of understanding and a place of empathy, right? Let's start undoing this idea that Black America has no culture when they are the culture. And oftentimes they're the ones dictating the culture worldwide in fashion or hair or music or in anything. Like, let's start giving our Black American brothers and sisters their flowers and their credit. I think politically, more black countries have to start joining together, whether big or small, and stop using finance as a reason to like undercut someone else. Stop using maybe your own greed as a reason not to stand by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of black countries could speak up more in solidarity from the political standpoint, because to your point, it's like you don't even really see other like major black countries speak up loud enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that, you know, the world powers always being America, Europe, China, and then everybody else feels like they're, you know, cast away to the side. But I mean, if you add up the South American countries, if you add up the Caribbean islands, if you add up all the countries in the motherland, like, we make up a big majority of this planet. So the latter we have our leaders and us as people voting and trying to put those leaders into place. I know some countries don't have the same like judicial system as far as voting and, you know, getting people in power that they want and choose for, but this is where the fight becomes important, you know? And I truly believe that, like, it starts with conversation. Once the noise is loud enough, change will slowly ensue. Because once the voice is loud enough, then you can start looking at different actions to take. Then you can start thinking about, okay, if we change this for ourselves, we damn near change this for everybody in the world. Like, if we get freedom and equality for us, it's going to be freedom and equality for all people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people have to start looking at it as. And it's going to take, like you said, like a little want from within too, right? Like, when we show up as allies, allowing other people to be let in as allies. And that's my thing with, like, the FBA and the ADOS things. It feels too much like me versus y'all. And we on the same team.
But I get it, though. Do you know that?
Yeah.
It's because what they do, right? They hire people, right, in certain situations that's not from this country, and they put them in political positions, right? And then when the person that's not from this country doesn't do what they entirely want them to do, they say, "Oh, you're not from this country," right? And then you know who that looks bad on? Not just the black person that's not from America, but it all looks bad on black Americans too, right? So it seems like we have a divide because it seems like what they've been doing, right? And it's not just with black people, like they have different people from different countries come over here. They give them positions, they give them a supplement, something that can actually make them have a way here in America. And that differentiates the American, no matter if you're Spanish or black, right? From the actual people that are coming over here, and they may feel like they're better in certain situations.
Yeah, no, there's
right?
and that's even like what I meant
like
earlier.
It's been happening down here. Did you see? I think it's Sheila. I forgot her name. She was voted in like I think as a governor over here down here in South Florida, and now that she's being used as she was doing like tax evasion, she was doing fraud with her company, buying things through her company and stuff like that. You know, most of these companies are doing that.
Right.
You know, most
100%.
of these people are doing that.
100%.
But it looks like she was the one that was used as a scapegoat, right?
Yeah.
And then when I realized she's not even, I don't even think her family's from this country, right? So they put people who actually fight, like let's say she's not from this country, they go get their educations in different places. Right. They're very educated,
of course,
but they come to America and it's used. They use the people that are not from the black Americans. They use black Americans and they use black people that are not from America, and they have us go against each other. And it's just crazy.
And that's where, like, you know, and that's the thing, like, you know the story of Fred Hampton,
Yeah.
right? Recently, maybe just a few years ago, maybe 2023 or 2022, this movie came out even. Yeah. When they showed like Judas and the Black Messiah. It's like it's always that plant from within, and that's even that's
propaganda.
Like, propaganda. Yeah, that's that, you know. You've seen it even at protests. Yeah, sending in people that look like they're part of the group to start a riot when it was peaceful. Black Lives Matter. You know, it's insidious. Yeah. In nature, right? And that's where I feel like the solidarity amongst us have to really, 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 really be put into focus and emphasized, because if you don't, we'll never know who we can trust. You know what I mean? Like, if we can't even trust someone that look like you're gonna have an uphill battle. You know what I mean? You have a really, really, really tough uphill battle. But like Outkast said, man, not all skin folk is kinfolk, right? So you gotta practice with discernment and look to see like who's for themselves and who's for the community.
That's a fact.
Who's for the greater good. You know, that's the main thing. And speaking of greater good, to transition, I just want to give some rest in pieces to Serena, if I'm saying that name right, Fairfax, Ashley Robinson, Celeste Rivas. If you're wondering what these three names have in common, they're all women, Celeste being the youngest of them, and they've all been murdered by men that they were dating. In the case of Celeste, we're going to get to a little bit later, because that's a very bizarre, unique, and scary case. The other two ladies mentioned were women who were of age. Celeste was a 14-year-old girl. Miss Fairfax was murdered by her husband. Ashley Robinson was found dead while on vacation with her fiance, and they're vacationing in a country in Africa, and from what I understood, what I've been reading was that they're holding the fiance currently there because they're still investigating the cause of death. But a lot of people are, online detectives are pointing to things and saying, like, this doesn't feel right. This seems like she didn't just, like her cause of death is still unknown, and there's a lot of red flags. So we're waiting for more details, to say the least. Earlier this year, there was an incident in Coconut Creek in which a man killed his wife, shot her in their home. There was this article on CNN that was published. I saw a few women talking about, and it was scary for them, how much millions of men go to this like dark web academy to learn how to harm women physically, sexually, with using certain drugs and stuff like that. And it really made my heart heavy, because I'm like, it's got to be so scary in this world for women. I mean, just this past election cycle, so many women had a heavy heart because even their rights to get abortions was taken away from them. And feeling like there's not even a systematic place where they feel safe. And then you go out into the world and it feels like every man might be a threat, you know? And this kind of, honestly, on the Joe Budden podcast for a while, there was this big, I can't even call it a running joke, but there was this thing where it was like Melissa Ford was bringing up would you rather be alone in the forest with a bear or a man? And that caused a big debate, and that debate lingered for like days on days. And I understood Joe's point in that perception, because it's like the really good men out there don't get highlighted, and sometimes all we do is highlight the monsters, so it makes it feel like we're in a minority. But from Melissa's standpoint is that it's really hard to discern who's good from bad on just a day-to-day basis. Like, you really don't know. You can bump shoulders with a predator in a Walmart. You just don't know. Like, you really don't know. But it made me think to myself, well, you know what? As men, is there anything we can do to make the world feel safer for women?
That's a great question, bro. You about to?
No, go, because
I want to hear what you have to say. I'm sorry.
No. Honestly, I pause even because it's like, even now in this moment, it's hard for me to find concrete answers. Like, yo, we gonna do this, and that. Like, it's really hard to think. Because, I mean, we don't have kids here, right? But imagine if you had a daughter. Like, it makes you think, like, how do you protect your daughter in this world? What tools do you give her? Like, what do I provide? Like, how do I, not just for our daughters, sisters, mothers, cousins, stuff like that, but like just women in general, how do we make the world as men more safe for women so that they don't feel that angst? I mean, there's so many stories that I can give where I just look back and I'd be like, wow, that woman was unprotected. And what's even coming up into my mind, and I want to make sure I Google this properly so I remember her name correctly, because this happened a few years ago. I'm just going to do a quick Google check for you guys. And this is on the prompt. No, see, it's too many articles. I'll find it, and I'll bring the example up later. But, bro, is there anything that comes to mind when you think about that possibility or just what we could do in general?
So, I mean, that the first things first, right? I'm glad you brought up those people because it's like something's in the air, right? It's like, it seems like people who are in relationships seem like, if it's not this relationship, then it's nothing, right? And you're seeing how some of those reactions are, right? Or they feel like, they got to take out their families just to, I guess, want to start over. You know what I mean? And it's really, it seems, to me, bro, it's very sad. I look at the women that go through those situations, and I'm like, they have full trust in a man, right? And, to just bring some balance in this conversation, I definitely would say, because you gotta remember too, in this world, it's 15 women to one man, right? So this, and just let's be real, right? But also too, you got a lot of women out here that trust in, men that are not making right decisions, don't know how to lead, right? And are just can't help but to put people in bad situations, right? And I look at these women that are in these relationships, especially the ones that you were going over, and I'm like, at what point could they say no? At what point could they get out of it? You get what I'm saying? But then also too, I look at it and I'm like, yo, bro, it's the character. Because I'll tell you this right now. You ask, would you want to? You ask me, would I want to be, in what is it, the forest, or what do you say?
Yeah, the bear, the bear and the man.
Would I want to be in a forest with a bear or a woman? That's a great question. What I want to do, it depends on the woman, right? Just like Joe Budden was saying, there's a lot of guys that I looked at, right? It depends on the man that if a girl want to be in that type of situation with a man, right? So you got to just look at it. I think it's just more of a like the character issues, right? The type of women that that they're trying to get in these relationships with that end up like this, compared to it being like a more of a man. I just think it's a character issue. There's women like that just as much as there are men that can't stand their relationships and do anything that they can to get rid of their relationships to start a new leaf. You get what I'm saying? In this particular situation right now, we're hearing it from the side of women, and specifically black women, right? That have been, killed, right? And if I was to look at this, because this is something that's been pulled up by media, and I was to go, oh, our black women are targets. We need to watch out for them. I'll be looking left while they're doing things on the right, because I feel like all women are in the same situation. You know what I'm saying? But I specifically think that they like to notify us about black women. You get what I'm saying? Because it's easier to put, to profile us based on those perspectives, right? So to make us scared. You scare, you control, right? So if you can scare the black women, you can kind of control their next move. You get what I'm saying? It's used as a scare tactic when it's happening all around. You get what I'm saying? So, it's very conflicting for me to see these type of situations happen, but it's also conflicting to see how the media portrays these situations that are happening, right? Because right now in this world, there's a lot of things that are being used in the media to stray away from actual things that are truly happening, right? And I think that focusing on black women being killed right now, it takes a lot of focus on what's happening with white women in certain aspects, right? If I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of things that's been going on with conservative white women that have been talked about lately, right? And it's been going kind of brash. A lot of different people been talking about it, whatever the case is. But a lot of things happen, right? A lot of news sectors do a lot of things to put things back in perspective, right? No matter how much you talk, remember, you get what I'm saying? If you're a black woman in your relationship, and you're in a relationship, just remember, it can be rough. You get what I'm saying? What about white women, right? Now, the reason I don't say white women like, oh, what about them? And that's it. I'm just saying, what about white women like, no matter what, it's a bad situation. If you're with a bad character person, you're going to be in a bad relationship. And no matter if you're black, white, yellow, orange, or whatever the case is, it's just funny to me how the media wants to portray our black women like, black women are very strong. Very strong. And, I see my mom do things as a single woman that I haven't seen certain men do. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to make women seem like they're not strong. Right. Might make them seem like they're not they're victims. They're just going based off of the men that they're with, right? And they got to go through that. But a lot of black women are strong, you know what I mean? But then you got a lot of black men that are with women that tear them down, right? So we're in this world right now. The media is portraying this type of situation. I understand what's going on with the black women, and I just wanted. I appreciate that you actually first started this with that, just giving your sentiments out and just giving it attention, because I think that a lot of people are going to look over it, right? And not look over just the individual one, but the pattern. You get what I'm saying, of that situation happening. I think the conversation needs to really be had with a lot of us to try to understand: are you ready for a relationship? And I think that's a big question people need to ask themselves. Are you ready for a relationship? Because a lot of people get in relationships and they cannot handle it, and they turn crazy. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people really need to know themselves, and they need to really know what they're going to bring to the table when they get into a relationship. Because when all things fails and you realize you're not the person who you are, situations like this happen.
Oh man, it's so I agree with you on all the points, and whenever you have a tragedy or you have something horrendous happen, the media's gonna run to it. Unfortunately, negative news sells more than positive news, but I also feel like it's important for us to understand, even on a case-by-case basis, I found the law that was changed, Maya's law, and this happened in 2022. It was Maya Morocco, or Marciano is how you say her name. I apologize if I messed that up. She was a single lady living in her apartment. and one of the apartment, I believe it was a tenant or maintenance man, was stalking her, and he used the master key that they have to get into apartments. He ended up murdering this girl. I mean, this girl's a South Florida native, and she was a member of the Caribbean community, Trinidad specifically, and it was a big thing here. It's weird, like when you hear about like 6 degrees of separation, it's like, dang, I knew that much people that knew this girl. Like, I had never met her myself, but I knew a lot of people who did. And in that situation, that wasn't, about a relationship. It was about a woman who was just not protected and vulnerable. I'm gonna get into the David situation in a little bit. But in the cases of like the Ashley Robinson and Serena Fairfax, those women were Serena was in a marriage and Miss Robinson was engaged. And it makes you think, okay, we're on the outside looking in. From the outside looking in those relationships, for a lot of people, there may not have been signs. Like, what happens when there's no signs? Sometimes the signs are obvious and you can see a dysfunctional relationship from the beginning. But what happens when things change suddenly and swiftly and it's not apparent? Is there a way to protect from that? I don't really know. DV cases aren't something new to the world, but I know that it happens very quickly. I'd be feeling like our tax dollars don't go to things. Like, one thing I thought about was like, maybe our tax dollars can go to like more resources where women like that, who maybe within the confines of their relationships that's not obvious, can have a place to go to. I was like, man, you can take some of these like hair salon suites type buildings and create a space like that where they have rooms where they can take themselves, their kids, and go somewhere safe. Like, I would put my tax dollars towards that. Oh. It's funny because I keep trying to think, like, is there an answer? And I don't know what the answer may be, but I feel like the more men talk about that and the more we're cognizant of, like, look out for your sisters, look out for not just like your mom, like your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter, but have the mentality of protecting women as a whole. And with the Celeste Rivas situation, what's the saddest about that one is we're talking about a child. And we had reported on this when the news first broke about them discovering her body decomposing in the back of a Tesla in a dump yard. And the hearing is like, how does a 14-year-old girl end up there? The internet did a lot of work with that story and was quickly putting, all the pieces together. Now, it's the internet, you can't take everything off the internet for facts, but I had no clue who David was prior to. And then when I brought it to attention, I'm like, man, that's weird. I mean, even if he's not the actual person who did the crime, he's still guilty because he's an adult with a minor. Where are the parents for this young girl? And you find out she was a runaway. And now you have this girl who's young, impressionable, dealing with what seems to be a very prevalent singer. I don't know his music like that. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm Unc now, and he doesn't make music in the genre that I listen to the most, which is like hip hop and R&B. He's more like I guess like a pop star type of guy who got popular off TikTok. But this girl's fate just seemed so ugly, and it seemed like once again the parents failed, the systems failed, the people around David failed. And David, after months, like, this happened earlier this week was finally picked up, and I mean the story has been out since I want to say almost like October, so it's been like maybe 7 months or so. I'm not good at math. And he's finally been formally charged with the murder of Celeste. And from what we heard from the police reports, like they got like 40 terabytes worth of evidence against him. And once again, I just sat down. I just started saying like heartbreaking, because where were the other people around? Like where the other? It was never just them alone, but there was other people around who looked and turned their head and didn't take notice or enabled. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't anybody speak up? And that's kind of like what I mean when I'm just like, it's frustrating, because this could really have been avoided. Like, where were the teachers? Where was Child Protective Services? Where was any of this, you know? And in the case of David, they're saying that he actually might be the first death penalty I think Cali has used in a while. If I'm not mistaken, it's California that he's being prosecuted in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're talking about, when you heard the story, it was so gruesome. When you talk about a minor's body being found dismembered, and I remember hearing the stories of how hard the autopsy was to figure out like what was the cause of murder, because the body had been in the trunk of a car for so long, it was badly decomposed. Yeah, that seemed darker than dark. That felt very insidious, and you know, once again, someone probably presenting themselves as an ally to this. You know, you can't even call her a young lady, this child, and she was completely unprotected. So many people around her and in her life let her down, and I just wanted to raise that question on what we can start doing to look around to, you know, hold more people accountable. And it's not easy. It's not, and sometimes it's not even safe. There was an incident I remember that happened a few years ago. Someone doing the same thing at a Walmart, and a man like grabbing up a girl, not underage or anything like that, but like his girlfriend, and displaying like, you know, signs of like violence and domestic violence, and you know, causing a scene in a Walmart. And a man stepped in to try to protect the lady, and the dude had a gun on him and killed him in the Walmart.
Killed the dude who was trying to help out?
Mm-hmm. Mm. And I remember hearing that story like, that's tough. Like, a homie trying to do the right thing, and now you're, you know, I don't remember specifically if that dude had a family, if he had a wife or kids or anything like that, but it's like, then there's that. There's even like your self-preservation of like wanting to help out, but you not even knowing what you might be stepping into, because this dude might be all the way unhinged and you don't know. That's why I just wanted to start the conversation. I just wanted to bring that up, because I feel like it's something as men in society, like we got to start just looking around, looking a little deeper, and being more community minded in that, in being protectors. Like, let's take pride in being protectors of the women, being protectors of the children. Like, that's our future. That's our homes. Like, those are our hearts, and we gotta, you know, if you guard your heart, I feel like things will work out better more times than not. But man, on a more positive note, I wish, you know, I feel like I should play a little bit more of an upbeat song, something like Joe Budden has such a smooth transition when he goes from heavy topics to something more light in nature, because man, that was heavy. That was.
It's what was needed, you know.
Yeah.
We need to have those conversations. Like we said, we're always going to bring the conversations that people will probably don't want to have, but it's good to have these conversations to think about it.
Right.
We may be wrong in certain aspects we may think about, but that's the point of having a conversation.
Exactly.
So, absolutely, man.
Exactly, man. And I appreciate you having those talks with me, because it ain't easy, man. Like, you sit around and you watch the news, or you just hear some of the reports, and it's like, it's easy to get depressed. But we're not gonna keep. You know what? You know who's probably not depressed?
Oh.
Drake fans. Drake fans got some.
Oh, that's
great
why you
news.
happy. I knew that's why you was happy
Drake fans
today.
got some great news this week, man. Listen, this rollout has been happening for a year and a half now. Drake teasing Iceman, Drake dropping singles, Drake doing streams. Drake put out a lot of music post Kendrick Lamar beef. And Drake fans finally got his solo album release date, May 15th. Did you see how he did it? Like, he put the big chunks of ice, like, in the middle of Toronto. And I guess, like, all the streamer kids came out there with sledgehammers and matches trying to melt the ice. Like, these were, like, industrial-sized ice blocks. Like, these were, like, the ice blocks you see in video games where you, like, the enemy hits the ice block, you got to jump over it, like on some Super Mario shit.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, like, these kids going to try to really crack this ice, and he's just going to make an Instagram post about it. And that's basically what happened. So I'm like, hey, shout out to all you guys out there with your pitchforks and... You know, there might have even been a flamethrower or something out there for somebody to
Didn't
try
you
to
give
melt
somebody money for finding something?
I saw it. I didn't know if that was real. I saw clips. Like, I saw clips with, like, Aiden Ross. that dude, right? Amongst this, right? For the better part of a year, man. I mean, Drake pundits and their talking point, there's just been this weird negative, as if, like, life is not worth living without Drake. Life is not the same without Drake. You need Drake. Listen, you out there, you need Drake. You need him. You go to the parties and everybody's sad. All the women are staying inside. There's no more women partying without Drake. I've heard this for the last year and like a half at this point. So much so, and now it's I mean, the Bag Fuel niggas, Ish from the Joe Budden podcast, Rory and Maul, every media ally of Drake has been pushing this "you need Drake" message as if he was Jesus, as if he's your savior. So much so. Here's the latest one. I'm gonna play clips from this latest
He's not
one.
a rapper, but I'm thinking there's a world where Drake is, people want him to be a rapper, and some people say he's not a rapper. But I think he has one of those names that is like, I'm not black, I'm OJ. You got to think, ever since Drake been quiet or chilling or not Draking as usual, the world off, bro. You walk in clubs, everybody on their phone. Nobody looks like they having a good time no more. We don't even know, if you walked in a club today, what song would make you happy about being there right now?
It's like,
Yeet gonna come on, turn y'all up. He gonna turn y'all section up.
nah, this is y'all.
And I'm not, yeah, I'm saying this is why Drake needs to go up. What are we doing, bro?
Drake needs to bring the world to
Bro,
equilibrium.
it's sad without Drake in the club. It's sad, bro. But we got Drake out here feeling like we didn't appreciate him. So now he tucked away working on Iceman, chilling, feel like they don't appreciate me. He should never feel.
Listen, man. People been on their phones in the club since God knows when. Since the camera phone came out, since the iPhone came out. Like, partying just ain't the same in general. That ain't got nothing to do with Drake. I just hope for the sake of Drake fans, this album's good. Like, this album is like the deliverance for them. For as much as we've heard about this album ad nauseum, I hope it does what it's supposed to do for his fan base. And on the business side of it, Drake is still fighting the appeal for the dismissal of the lawsuit against UMG. Don't know how that's gonna work out. I don't know if UMG is gonna push Drake's album the way they normally push it, considering that he's suing them. or fighting the appeal. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people still keeping up with even that process in which his lawyers are doing a horrible job of making good arguments for him. So much so, like, I think it was either Yale or Harvard students in the law program basically came out like with like their own statements or testimonies, you know, maybe their interns and stuff like that, saying, hey, this is BS. I mean, just off the simple fact that he consented to a rap battle, it can't be defamation. Like, you consented to this. Like, that's off the rip, throw this out, you know? Like, we talk about propaganda. Oh my God, am I tired of the Drake propaganda? Like, just drop the music and everybody shut up. Like walking into the party and it just looking like everybody's sad and meek, going, oh my God, where's Drake? And what's crazy is, bro, this nigga has been putting out songs. Nokia came out just last year. Like, that song was out. He just had a album with Party Next Door just last year. I mean, he's been dropping singles. He released unreleased music, all the, what was it, like the 60 gigabytes or something like that. He's flooded. I mean, flooded his fan base with content.
I mean, that's the game, right? I mean, that's his man's. I mean, what you expect Game to say? You're going to support his man's and be honest with you, bro. What happened if the clubs become more lit? If Drake do drop this album? Then what you going to say then?
How do you measure that? Because I don't think the clubs aren't not lit now. I see,
That's not what I said. What happened if the clubs became more lit? Nah, I'm saying if he does drop this album, like, what would you say then? What happened if what people are predicting actually becomes true? I mean, what would you say then? Because this sounds like people do miss him. You know what I mean?
You heard the people who's talking that saying that they miss him?
I see the people who saying that, and a lot of people who say they miss him too are the people who make money off him, right? You get what I'm saying? So I get it. I get it. You get what I'm saying? But there's one thing, right? I'm not even a Drake fan, right? Mm-hmm. But there's one thing you can't say that's not true. Bro, from high school to college, Drake's music was lit, bro. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And his music was kind of like, if you was in a college dorm or whatever the case is, and a girl you was talking to, whatever, he had songs that kind of made you feel like, oh, that vibe was kind of like that. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So the presence of that, he's like somebody that's, bro, you may not want to admit it, but look, Drake's song's been with you ever since you was in high school. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? After high school, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And even now, right? It's kind of seeming like to you it's haunting you, but anyway,
it's not.
But it's been there. But also too, you can't tell me you've never talked to females that like Drake.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
So if you don't like Drake, does it really matter?
No, but that's the thing. We're not having a conversation of what I like. It's for me. This is not about like my. I mean,
if you don't listen to him, does it really matter? I should say. Not like
no, never. And that's why I said this is not. This is. Here's the thing. Right, you know. You guys would know me as some of a music connoisseur, right? When I judge music, I'm never even really judging off of my preference. Now, if I like the music, that's probably I'm gonna go a little bit harder for the music. But just judging music on its own from a non-biased standpoint, it's like for me, it's effort. For me, it's substance. For me, it's replay value. For me, it's seeing the impact of the music. For me, it's seeing like did this music change anything in the grand scheme of things. And there's no doubt for a large part of our lives. Like I said, I've known Drake since 2007. I started off as a Drake fan. I'll tell you my villain story later.
Oh, there we go. He started off as I knew it. Listen, I always knew it. Something happened. Y'all gonna have to pay for that story.
I'll tell you the villain story later.
I knew it.
It's a lot deeper than that. All right, it's a lot more mischievous. All right, listen. But it's not about that. I'm talking about the propaganda.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the idea of creating messaging where it's like you feel like you need an artist. I'm like, that's never been a talking point ever said to anybody ever. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you, if Drake retires and never makes a song again for the rest of his life, every DJ in the history of the world has a mountain, and I mean a mountain of certified hits that will be played for generations. Drake has made classic music, especially music that will, like some might say, go up in the club. He has no shortage of that. I mean, if you ever just been outside, like I think, you know, when I came back from Charlotte and I was just talking about, like, man, the DJ was on fire, just playing so much different types of music from like really Southern old school. You got to know, like, man, he's playing like mixtape Gucci Mane. He's playing like 3-6 Mafia cuts. I mean, and people are going like crazy. You're seeing like even like younger generation people in there just like catching a vibe. You know what I'm saying? And he had a West Coast set. He had a dance. I appreciate it. Dance hall set. I didn't expect to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, and get a dance hall set in the middle of the party, right? That was fire.
That it is. I ain't gonna lie.
That is.
The dance hall. Oh my god.
The dance hall set was fire. So
it always turns it up, right? It always turns up
does,
that portion of the party. It's a lit.
It was like, but that's even my thing. I'm like, bro, like I don't even party much, but niggas done had a good stretch of being outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, once you're just playing good music, it's not like I've never in my life, even at Drake at his peak, just been in my life, and it's from start to finish, we just played nothing but Drake. Mm-hmm. And any other song that wasn't Drake, everybody was like, oh, never seen that shit happen a day in my life. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, I've also seen when they play this song, like whatever hot song, like when One Dance was out, oh my God, the reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Phenomenal. Great time. No, like I said, no doubt. So like, just this weird talking point of like, yo, you go to the club and you see everybody on their phone. Well, I'm like, yo, you go to most parties, no matter what or when, even back then, people are on their phones. We're distracted as a society. Like, most people don't even like to dance as much, just in general. You know what I'm saying? So I'm more so talking about the propaganda. I'm just sitting here like, yo, I just hope, like, I cheer for good music. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's from an artist that I personally like or not, ultimately, good music is good music. You know what I mean? Like, let the music speak for himself. This weird talking point, like, bro, I mean, I don't even have the other clips queued up, but y'all can go Google Bag Fuel Drake conversations. Y'all can go queue up Joe Budden podcast Drake conversations. Y'all can go queue up All the Roy. You go queue up Aiden Rock. Anybody, Ben the Don, anybody remotely close to Drake, because like you said, they're making money off him. It's a grift. I'm gonna start calling out the grifts.
No.
Tired of the grifts. Now, if the music comes out and it's hot, great. If the music comes out and it's mid, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, because the criticism about Drake for the better part of the last 5 to 6 years, the music been mid. I'm okay, and that's the thing too. Just like in sports, everybody has their peaks. And then you're not averaging 30 no more, you're averaging 16 now. Then you look in the mirror and say, it's about time to retire. I'm cool with music artists just recognizing their peak. Like, everybody has a peak. It's okay. Like, Jay-Z now isn't what Jay-Z was in 2003. He had a peak. He's still Jay-Z. Same with Drake. He's still Drake. Like, I'm not saying he's going to release music. Like, Drake has too much money and too much, there's too much resource for him to technically make like a bad album. Like, he would have to really go out of his way to make a bad album. But if you just get an album that's more the same from the last 3 or 4, then it's just like, And that's my thing with music. Last week I was telling you about how like all this dust is settling, and I feel like this is a great time. This is a great time because it's this open runway where artists don't have to conform to a sound. I mean, every day you're seeing, and this is sad for me, where street rap is becoming less and less lucrative because y'all niggas can't just stick to the raps. Y'all niggas want to be outside living your raps and doing things to taunt people online and create this ecosphere of negativity around the genre. And, bro, I didn't know who All-Star JR was until like a few days ago, but just seeing more street nonsense. Once again, violence, taunting your ops, cops come pick you up, stupid self-incriminating stuff. Like we were talking about this leaving the other day. It was like, yo, sometimes you just be feeling tired of this hip hop shit. I'm tired of that. I want to get back to the art. And, you know, back in the day, if you were a street artist, like your ceiling was like a Jay-Z, your ceiling was a Jeezy, you know what I'm saying? Your ceiling was high, a Juvenile, a Wayne. Like it was lucrative. People like it. You know, everybody likes the, you know, American Badass, and they really like what 50 Cent. America got a thing for this gang, this shit. They love me. Like people love it. 50 Cent. And look at 50 Cent. Like now, if you're a street artist, your ceiling is $15,000, $20,000 walkthroughs, nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's not deals with Vitamin Water. It's not Jay-Z getting S. Carters and deals with Reebok. No. It's not Jeezy having Snowman T-shirts flood the country. You niggas is going to jail. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all out there is really doing the dumbest crimes and living it online as if you could ever be a famous gangster, bro.
Yeah, but you know, when you don't have a sense of purpose in this life, you know, you're gonna just do random shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like that's what's happening in this world right now. You know what I'm saying? Just a whole bunch of people doing random shit. And then let's go to this too. So do you think that Drake's album is gonna be better than Baby Keem's?
I mean, hard for me to say. Baby Keem's album for me, it's been a slow year in hip hop. But I feel like that's been the best rap album we've gotten so far. It's been the one that I've still been on repeat. I listen to Baby Keem's album at least twice a week since it's dropped, and it's aging great. Like I find a lot of appreciation in Baby Keem's album because it's so transparent and it's such an introduction to him as a person and like his background. And I'm like, mind you, he's had projects out before, but none of them were this personal. So I just appreciate his candidness in this album. I'll say there is potential for Drake's album to be better than it. I think if Drake really steps up to the plate and talks about things from an honest perspective and maybe even giving some understanding. Like we have not heard Drake do an interview. We haven't heard Drake say anything about the lawsuit. We just heard his lawyers talk for him, represent him. We haven't heard nothing from him. It's like I said, this is like his talking heads, like his media allies. Just whatever narrative he wants to push, it's like he's pushing it through them.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing him just leaning heavy into streaming culture. Like, you know, that's been another criticism of Drake. It's like, you talked about us being in high school, growing up with his music. Like, he doesn't seem to cater to even his most original fans at all. Like, day one Drake fans are anywhere between 29 to say 35. Like the OG ones who were there from the jump, probably between the ages of 29 to 35. And you're streaming. They're probably not watching streams. Like, so he's looking to really target younger audiences. I get it. You know, Drake's had this obsession with being like the guy or being number one or being at the top. So could it be better than Baby Keem's? Maybe. Maybe Drake has all the resources in the world to make the greatest music possible. Whether or not he executes on that or whether or not the team around him is the same, you know, people have talked about different writers, different producers, you know, 40 not being as involved, all types of stuff going to making music, because music really is a collaborative thing. That's even like my criticism of Cole. I feel like Cole is just left to too much of his own devices sometimes. And like, when you think about the greatest music, it's never like one person. Like, if you think about even like Outkast, you might think about Dungeon Family, Rico Wade, you know, you think about Kendrick, you think about Soundwave, Dr. Dre, you think about Clips, you think about Pharrell. Like, you can go on and on and on. Some of the greatest music, there's a tandem. Kanye West is everybody. Consequence, Pusha T, Sci-Hi, forgetting the engineer's name who just makes everything sound phenomenal. But it's a team effort. So I have no doubt that Drake could make impactful album. It's just that is that the goal? Like, is the goal to change music? Is the goal to, you know, speak openly about the experience of coming off like your most embarrassing rap battle loss? Like I would want to hear it. I would want to hear if he's talking like that, if he's talking about his thought process and where he was mentally or, you know, whatever I'll hear it. I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Better than Baby Keem's? I don't know. Baby Keem set a high bar for me because, I mean, like I said, for that album, I love personal albums. I love feeling like you've connected in a way with your audience that was unique or just, you know, on a
Different level.
Yeah, different level. But maybe if Drake's album's good, I'm not gonna be a hater, bro. I'll say it's good.
We'll see.
I'll say it's good because I don't like that. I don't like, you know, we talk about biases a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because Drake may not be my cup of tea.
Don't listen to him, y'all.
What you mean?
Don't even listen. Don't.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, Steph. Listen, bro. I already know, bro. If there's any bullcrap that he come out with, it's over.
No. If it's objectively bad, I will. I will.
But remember,
I will say it.
But just remember, that's gonna be based off your opinion, right?
That's why I say objectively.
Because if all the women like it, right?
But that was my thing.
You know what I mean?
That's my thing. Is that if it's when I say it's objectively bad, meaning your fan base don't like it.
Yeah.
Meaning your fan base didn't, you know, you didn't meet the mark with them. That's when I'll say, because it's never about me. Like I'm not Drake. Drake don't make me. My music, in large part, as like Tupac's my favorite rapper. My top 5 go Pac, Jay, Kendrick, Wayne, and Nas. You know what I'm saying? Drake don't really fit in that mold. Maybe a little bit on the Wayne side, but you know, that's like my, like if I was on an island, I just got those 5 guys in their catalog. I'm cool. I don't really need much else. There's some R&B. I would want a separate R&B tape. But listen, speaking of beefs and biases, bro, we had a cool comment that really made me laugh and sparked a little bit of a fun thought process. Okay. Because the comment was, let me go find it and
Kinda
read the comment.
grinded your gears, buddy?
Yeah, like what's really grinding my gears? And it's like, and I was like, someone pointed it out, and I'm like, man, I love that they pointed it out. Like, means people are watching. It also means, hey, my stances are very clear. So, shout out to Third Rod or Three Rod, however you want to pronounce that alias. Says Steph has a huge beef with Red Pill. I said, you got me. You're damn right, buddy. Because going back to our first topic, we're supposed to be protecting women, not sitting here talking about stupid stuff about women. And that's what Red Pill is. It's like, it grinds my gears, and I've gotten better at this. You see, when I was younger, I really used to like call out stupidity like in the moment in like blunt ways, in a way that probably wasn't even like the most mature. Like if someone said something stupid, I'd be like, you're an idiot. You know? So Red Pill content does, like, it triggers me in that way because this is stupidest. I mean, the most mind-rotting thing. That's why I couldn't get through the Netflix doc that they did, because I'm like, brain cells are dying in real life right now. I need to turn this off. Like, I'm regressing, like, as a human being, even exposing myself to this idiocy. But things that grind my gears, man. Anything that grinds your gears, anything you got a beef with, or like if you had to just, you know, say, you know what? Yeah, that, I ain't rocking with that. Good hate. Some good hate, I call it.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't have a particular beef, right? There's a lot, I ain't gonna lie, bro. If I'm driving, there might be a few things that, you know, might grind my gears, or I might find that as a pet peeve. There's a lot of things, people not using their signals.
Oh, okay.
To make a turn.
Talk about it. It's South Florida, listen up.
When you're trying to get over to the other lane, not using your signal. I don't know what country you think this is.
Be polite, niggas.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I just, or when it's a red light and it turns green, why does it take 5 to 10 seconds for y'all to realize it's a green light? But
that's a good one.
I don't have really that many pet peeves. You get what I'm saying? You know,
Do
there's definitely a few. But you know what's something interesting? You brought up this conversation of, you know, what is beef, right? Pause. And there's a show that came out recently this week called Beef on Netflix. I don't know if
I've heard people talking about it.
I
Is it
don't
good?
know if you ever heard it. So this particular series, right, on this particular part, I'm not gonna go too much into it because I know we're about to get to the end. But watch it, bro. Right?
Okay.
For all you out there who have not watched it, please watch Beef on
Netflix.
in Netflix. And Netflix, you need to pay me. Anyway,
Add money.
yes, please. You know. Anyway, but on the show, it's real funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have these people, right? These two kids, they don't have no type of degree, no type of education, and they start working for a company. They find a way to get information on the people who are working in the company
Right.
in order to have a little bit more leverage in the company.
Okay.
As time goes on, they see the big boss. The big boss, or whatever the case is like, hey, I want things done this way. She sees more value in the people that have no degree, control, right? Compared to the people who actually been there for a long time, right? So the people who don't have, you kind of see at the end, right? That it's kind of like a circle moment where you have all these people have beef with each other, but they're all being controlled by one person. So for instance, hey, listen, you want to be number one? Well, look who's number one. You got to go against them, right? And the whole time you beefing with this person just to get a step ahead, and you realize the only place you're gonna get, or you're always gonna be under that
The
one.
Grandmaster. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Watch it. I looked at it from a deep perspective, and I looked at it like that. And then the whole time while they had this whole episode, you please notice how there's always ants on the food. There's always ants running around. There's always ants. You get what I'm saying? And it's so easy for if they see an ant to not see it's there or to easily kill them. Think about those perspectives. Watch that show. It's very interesting. But I thought about that because you said pet peeves, beefs, you know? And that's probably my main beef. Right now in this world, us feeling like we got to stomp on the other person to get ahead.
Right.
And we're getting nowhere.
That's true. That's true.
my biggest
That's
pet peeve.
True. No, you know, audience, he's not telling you about one pet peeve. There's a pet peeve that he's not telling you about. But sorry, bro, I got to expose it. Here to expose it. Them damn Hawks. It started with Trae Young. The Madison Square Garden started with Trae Young chants saying F Trae Young. This past week, we heard F CJ McCollum. And that's the beef. And that's where you got to wrap up a little bit quick because we got to catch that game. You got to catch that game.
Listen, man, CJ, it was just one game. You know, it was just one game. He might be traded after this year. So he just might not be there next year. So, you know, get your little runs off. The Knicks right now, they're just trying to make sure that they figure out how to win this championship. And you brought up CJ McCollum. It's real bad, buddy. Real bad, buddy. You know what I mean? But you know what? It's all going to be forgiven once the series is over. You know what I'm saying? What's your favorite team? The Mighty Ducks. So, hey, guys, thank you, guys.
Hold up. Wait. We can't end on that note. Let me tell y'all guys something, right? I like having an investor's mindset, man. I like having an investor's mindset. And there was a discussion. Now, I want to be very clear. At no point did I think said person was going to be better than Wemby. What I was trying to come across was said person as a number 2 pick is still going to be a damn good pick and a really good pro. And it just so happened that Scoot Henderson, after LASIK surgery, after, you know, getting some repair done in his knee, he was dealing with a little bit of knee issues this year, is having his come out party in the playoffs. The Blazers beat the Blazers beat the San Antonio Spurs.
I gotta take off the glasses for this.
Wait, without Wemby, albeit without Wemby. But boy, did Scoot Henderson put on a show. I said, don't look now.
Gosh.
I bought the stock when it was low, and it's making new highs, baby.
Bro,
let's go, Scoot.
That is not a good stock. That is GameStop. I'm gonna let you know this right now, bro. It ballooned for one game. For one day. Imagine the stock ballooning for one day. And then it just goes back. It goes up to $25. It goes back down to $1. You better not have told me to buy that stock. I'm gonna be pissed.
I told you to buy it 3 years ago.
Yeah, bro. So I should have got out of that contract
You shoulda got-
about some time. A long time, bro. It was a long time.
I done sold. I was selling at these
Hey,
highs.
don't listen to his stock on players. I'm trying to tell y'all this right now. We've been waiting, Scoop. Oh
man. I'm telling y'all about VJ, that Bahamian boy doing this thing,
no.
boy.
VJ's nice.
VJ the real deal. I've been
He
telling
look
y'all
like
from
somebody we know too. You like my boy Jason. I'm gonna let you know this right now. If you got some Bahamian, bro, let me know.
Oh man, nah. Jason ain't got nothing but a little bit.
Y'all both look like, you know what I mean?
Jason got a little Bronx, little Harlem. Shout out to Jason, man.
Shout out to my dog, bro.
FIU legend.
My boy Rico.
Yeah, right? Hey, man. Anything else you got to tell the people?
Yeah, Knicks are gonna win the championship. Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in, man. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe. You know, like you see how that comment ended up being a topic on the show? We really watching. We really listen. We giving shout outs in the comments. You know, we appreciate everybody who shares, everybody who interacts with us, and we'll see y'all next week for sure. All right. Until then, y'all be safe. Peace.